excellent entertainment. It's all about cowboys and horses. The whole weekend, it's about cowboys and horses, and it's not made up. It's real. They're real cowboys and real horses, and the real cowboys are singing, and the real cowboys are around the campfire, and you probably have some ash in your coffee, but that's the way it is, because that's really the way it is.
I was in kind of a bad deal. Tried to get out of a bad deal, and it ended up being a bad deal. See, I was having a bit of a problem of late in the ways of getting myself a date, so I decided that I'd indulge in the latest of fads. So I rode into town and got me a form, and I wrote out all my glory and charm, and I sent this little description to the personal ads. It said, single white cowboy, 6'1", 200 pounds, and lots of fun. Cute as a puppy and handy in the chutes. I won't wear nothing but Wrangler No, Justin boots. Now I got my clothing wearing on this Sonora.
I kicked over your beard.
Yeah,
That's screwed up.
won't wear nothing but Justin boots. I wear Wrangler jeans, chew Copenhagen snuff. I drink Coors Light beer, and I'm pretty tough. But I'm gentle as a kitten. I say please and thanks, drive a brand new Ford, and got money in the bank. I rode pro rodeo last 5 years, saddle broncs, barebacks, bulls, and steers. I cover my head with Stetson hats. I like old blue heelers, and I'm fond of cats. I keep a neat house, and I will settle down, and come next year, I'm finals bound. Well, that's what I wrote, but, well, it didn't take long till I was figured out. And that first date realized I'd lied about my qualifications when it came to the cowboy way. So she shamed me into redoing my ad, and though to read it, it makes me sad, I went back and wrote what my ad should really say. It said, divorced twice and lonely. I can't keep a wife. I couldn't ride a horse to save my life. I never rode bulls, never roped calves, and as far as that money, I've spent both halves. I'm kind of scraggly looking, drive a beat-up truck. I usually roll into town on fumes and luck. I wear a beat-up hand-me-down Mexican hat. I don't own no dogs, and I hate cats. I'm about 5'10" and 300 pounds. I can't own a horse because I live in town. I drink Old Milwaukee. I ain't that tough. I got sick one time when I tried to chew snuff. My manners escaped me, and my house is a pig pen. And hell, just like last year, I'll be watching the finals on ESPN.
I used to think that horses were stupid, but I think they're a hell of a lot. So I think they can read your mind. I can't prove it, but we'll be sorting horses or something, and we'll have. And these horses will have never worked together. We'll have 200-300 head of horses in the corral. And these horses will have never worked together, and we'll sort them off from their summer jobs to where they're going to go. And we'll be just sitting there talking about it. Renee will have a horse list about which horses go to which place and which ones we're going to send to a place. Never worked together. And we'll look down the alley, and there'll be 4 or 5 of them horses that are on that sheet of 10 that will already be standing together. Can't explain it, but there is a psychology there. I don't know, maybe they know more than we do and they're just letting us get away with it. A guest ranch will call me and say all of our horses are junk, and they'll be the same horses they had the year before. So what we've started doing is we say, all right, you don't know anything about horses yourselves, and usually the guest ranch owners don't. So I say, all right, make every wrangler ride every horse. And you'll find that the same guy will have the same problems as every one of them. And usually the one that'll get along with the horses the best will be some little girl. And that's just because she likes them, and those horses know it. 1965, or 64, my dad didn't own a horse, and he went to Grand Teton Lodge Company in Wyoming, just south of Yellowstone in Teton National Park. He showed them the math on how much it was costing them to own their horses as opposed to what it would cost them to just lease them for the summer. Remember, he didn't own any yet. This was in the winter that he went up there, and he talked him into renting horses. And he got a loan, and he went to buying horses and breaking them. Of course, back then they had some guys that could ride a few, wranglers that were working at the ranch. And I don't remember how big the first contract was. I think it was 60 or 100 head or something like that. But it was a substantial amount of horses. But that's how he got started, and I was raised in this business. My granddad homesteaded in Colorado in 1918, and he, right in the bottom of a canyon, he raised 5 kids, just exactly like it was the 1800s. He never learned to drive till he was 50 years old, and he raised these kids just about as rough as you can raise them. They all knew how to ride, they all knew how to rope, and they knew how to do about everything. And they were bronc riders and ropers, and there wasn't nothing they couldn't do a horseback when they come out of there. Those kids scattered out of there, and when they were raised as poor as they were, they knew they wasn't going to stay that deal. So my uncle started renting horses in Colorado in the 50s, late 50s, and he teamed up with my aunt and her husband, and then my dad learned a little bit from them, and he went to Wyoming and done the same thing. And now we're in Montana, and we're leasing horses. So I guess the next generation will be in Canada.
The sweet smell of rain on her sun-baked plains with a good horse between my knees.
There's a hole between me and Dad there, and you're the guy blocking it, and the horses is coming this way. You'll want to be on that side of it. It's just kind of academic, I think.
I mean, don't step into the gate. Stay out.
Well, get over there like where Scott's at, and then then that way you can push them horses over before they ever get to the hole. You don't have to just stand there waiting for something to happen to you. You can make it happen before it actually becomes an emergency situation.
The next morning, then we pull our horses out of that holding pasture, and that's about 600 acres, that pasture, and we start trailing them home. We start, in the back country, and then come up the gravel roads and through the fields, and end up going through the town of Willow Creek, and then down the highway and through the town of Three Forks, and that's the straightest shot, and that's the best way. That's the old Yellowstone Trail.
All you see is endless plain. You dread the sound of thunder. There's no shelter from the rain.
We have our core of cowboys that still trail those horses and help us trail those horses home. But on a big drive like that, you need more people. You need more people to fill the holes and make sure that the gates are closed, and big open country like that, you just need that many people to move that many horses across big open country. So we started asking guests to come along, and it's been great. They have been invaluable. We couldn't have done it. We cannot bring them home without help like that. And it's fun. It's fun, and it's amazing to me to see some of these people. It's an adrenaline rush. You just know it is, because some of these people are riding in country they've never seen before. They're riding horses they don't know, and most of them ride well, thank goodness, because if you don't, there's some hidden dangers, I suppose, in running that many horses across that kind of country at that kind of speed. But they do good.
And in the night the stars came out. His theories.
Horses are bred to run. That's how they got away from the dinosaurs. They ran, and whenever it doesn't matter if they're happy, they run. Something goes wrong, they run. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens, a horse wants to run. And so, what you'll see on our drives is there'll be, this is an exaggeration, but 50 cowboys in the front and 1 in the back, because the horse is just trying to run over the people in the front. Now they're looking for they're trying to get from a controlled situation to an uncontrolled situation. They want to run. So an open gate alongside the road, for instance, has got to be plugged by a cowboy and a horse. And if they screw that up, the lead is now changed from over here to this open hole, and it changed instantly. There's no time. And so that guy screwed up. So now we may have another hour ahead of us and maybe some cut horses. Because if horses see some horses getting away over here, and if the fence isn't all that good, the ones that are up there, they're going to say, piss on the fence, and down they'll go. And once they've started across a fence, they'll all go through it. They all go through it.
As a cowboy, when you're trailing them home, your job is to keep them in a bunch, and basically block any escape. Keep them moving at the right pace, not over the top. You want to keep them contained, and basically you're just there are cowboys on every side of your bunch, sides, front, back, and as a rider you've got to, just because you're not in the front doesn't mean that you can't. You got, in fact, the sides when you're in that big open country, or when you're in that nasty closed in, fenced in cattle guards, houses, that kind of country. On the sides, that's almost more important. In fact, I think it is more important, because one horse screws up and heads the wrong direction, and you lost them all. You lost them all. And then what do? They're in the church's backyard, or worse yet, out on the highway. So I guess your job is to keep them all in a bunch, keep them moving in the right direction, and keep them safe. That's the big thing. Keep yourself and your horses safe. And there's obstacles everywhere that'll cut a horse up.
I'm going to put the best riders in the front. When I say you get to go to the lead, that means that you're a good hand, and that you've earned the right to get up there in the front, and that I'm dependent on you. It's got nothing to do with social status. It's a matter of whether I can trust you or not. If I put you into a gate, I know when I put you into that hole that you're going to turn the horses and keep them from killing themselves or getting away from us. And somebody comes along the outside and replaces that guy, he comes back to the front. So it's a constant cycle from front to back. And that'll be happening on both sides of the horse drive.
You just have to be able to think quickly and be very observant. You have to watch not only what you're doing, what your horses are doing, but what every other guy in your bunch is doing. You cannot be out there for yourself. You have to work as a team. So you have to be able to think independently too, to see where you need to be so that you can make the whole bunch work. And be very, very, very bold. Be gutsy. Be tough, and you have to be able to make quick decisions and act on the decision that you just made half a second ago without having to analyze it or ask, is this what I need to do? You just need to do it.
And we try to get everybody to the lead of this horse drive at least once. And I try to have people that want to safety up. If I see somebody safetying up all the time, I'll go get them and I'll bring them to the lead. And those people will be the happiest for doing that and actually accomplishing something of anybody. They'll be the drunkest one at the bar telling the wildest stories that night. And I don't think that you can duplicate that anywhere else. Cattle drives just aren't the same. Horse drive is something that you have to experience. Riders, they say, well, I've been on cattle drives before. And by God, you just can't explain that. It's something you've got to experience. It's not at all the same. It's about 10 times the pace and about 10 times the adrenaline. And there's damn few people get hurt on a cattle drive. A horse drive, there's always somebody going to lose a little hide. Guaranteed. On a cattle drive, all of the riders are in the back of the herd because they've got to be prodding the cattle along. With horses, you don't have to do that. Horses are going to try to, they're always trying to run off. They're always trying to do that. And so if you've got 10 cowboys and 100 head of horses, you'll have 8 cowboys in the lead or on the sides and 2 in the back. On a cattle drive, it'd be just the opposite. You might not have anybody in the lead. You'll have all your guys on the sides and in the back kind of keeping that thing moving because you're pushing them. The horses are, you're holding them back. Otherwise, the ones that are in the front, they'd run, and they'd run wide open if you let them. It's your job in the front end to keep that somewhat to kind of resemble control.
Cale says that our job is creating the illusion that everything is under control. And I guess that's kind of true. It is like creating the illusion that everything is under control, but not really creating an illusion. It's like really trying to maintain control of that many different minds. I think the coolest thing that happened is when we brought those horses through Three Forks for the first time. There were quite a few people watching the horses go through, and lots of spectators and cars and flashing lights and baseball players and all kinds of mayhem that these horses had to go through. And these horses had kind of been lollygagging off, you know. They've trailed out over the last 14, 15 miles, and they're starting to line out, and we hit town, and we